The rain fell hard that night. Thunder rolled in like nature's applause to a tragedy playing out under the darkened skies of Manhattan. Inside the 34th floor penthouse, a man stood stiffly by the window, fists clenched, jaw locked in pain. Thank you for joining. Feel free to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Elias Granger, the rising star of Silicon Valley, was about to sever the only real connection he ever had. Behind him, Celine's voice broke through the silence. You're not even going to let me explain. Elias turned slowly. His eyes were dark, colder than the marble floors they stood on. I gave you everything. My time. My trust. My future. And you gave my prototype to my competitors. Celine's mouth fell open, trembling. I didn't. Elias, I swear. He snapped, stepping forward. They had it, Celine. Down to the last line of code. The only person with access was you. You think I'd risk everything we built? Her voice cracked, wet with disbelief. Do you really think I'm capable of that? His silence was louder than any insult. Celine wiped her tears and whispered, I'm pregnant. The words hung in the air. But Elias didn't flinch. Didn't soften. He simply looked at her as if she were a stranger. Leave. Celine's world caved in. Her stomach twisted in betrayal, not from him doubting her, but how quickly he abandoned her. I don't care where you go, he said. Just disappear. She stared at the man she loved and whispered, You'll regret this, Elias. Not because I'll come back for revenge, but because one day, the truth will find you. And she left. That very night. He never opened the letter she slipped under the door. He burned it. 17 years later. The skyline was bigger, colder. Elias Granger now ruled a tech empire spanning 42 countries. He was a legend. Billionaire. Keynote speaker. Global visionary. But in the stillness of his success, something gnawed at him. The way people laughed only after he smiled. The way boardrooms fell silent at his entrance. The absence of love. In his high-rise office, Elias stared at the final test screen of his global AI system, the Helix protocol. It could detect patterns, predict disasters, decrypt languages. Sir, his assistant Maya said, walking in, this just arrived. No return address. She handed him a small brown package. Inside, Elias pulled out a child's drawing. 3 stick figures. 1 tall man. 1 woman. 3 children, all holding hands. The eyes on the man were unmistakably his. He froze. For the first time in years, his breath caught. Then he flipped the paper. A single sentence. You left us. Thousands of miles away, in a hidden compound near the cliffs of the Pacific Northwest, a teenage boy stared at 5 glowing monitors, his face lit by lines of cascading code. Axel Lux, age 17, wasn't just a genius. He was an anomaly. He cracked encryption the way other kids solved Rubik's cubes. Nova, he called to his sister without looking up, I'm in. She leaned over, watching lines of code peel back the digital armor of the Helix system. He's going to notice. That's the point. He didn't steal anything. He didn't need to. Instead, he created a worm, one that simply replicated a message across every system Elias owned. You left us. Seconds later, Elias' screen turned black. Static. Then a flash of Axel's encrypted avatar, a masked face with glowing blue eyes. Elias stood from his desk. What the hell? Axel's voice played through the speakers. You created the future. But you abandoned your past. Silence. Then Axel added, Tick-tock, father. The screen cut to black. Celine Lux sat at the edge of a broken wooden dock, wind brushing her silver-streaked hair. Behind her, Nova and Luna, her twin daughters, were practicing surveillance evasion drills in the woods. 17 years had changed her. Gone was the soft-spoken engineer who used to make coffee for Elias at midnight. Now she was sharp, hardened, and brilliant in ways the world would never know. A voice crackled through her earpiece. We made contact, Axel said. He saw the drawing. Celine's breath hitched. And the system. Worm is planted. But he's building something dangerous. If Helix goes global, he'll be able to track every human on Earth. Including us. Celine stood, brushing dust off her coat. We can't let that happen. He left us once. He doesn't get to destroy the world now. She walked inside the cabin. On the wall were maps, facial recognition scans, and decrypted messages from Elias' board. One file marked in red. Helix plus quantum seed. Launch in 18 days. Celine's voice was quiet but firm. We move in 10. Inside a locked server room underground, Nova sat cross-legged, feeding lines of code into a system unlike anything the NSA had ever seen. The NYX protocol wasn't just an AI. It was self-aware, capable of independent learning. Built with code that couldn't be traced, not even by the world's top machines. Uploading sequence 12, Nova said. Axel, mirror it. Got it. Luna entered quietly, dropping a bag of old mechanical parts on the floor. I upgraded the power grid. We can run NYX at 2.3 teraflops per millisecond now. Axel whistled. You're a freaking magician. Celine entered the room, her presence instantly silencing the chatter. She stared at the holographic render of NYX, shaped like a human neural map, but always shifting. Once we activate NYX globally, Celine said, no system on Earth will be safe. Governments will panic. Corporations will beg. Elias will hunt us. Luna asked, then why do it? Celine stared at the screen. Because the only thing more dangerous than Elias having NYX is the rest of the world not knowing he already has something worse. She stepped forward and typed a command. Activate ghost mode, NYX AI. A soft, feminine voice emerged. Welcome, Creator. Where shall we begin? The past has teeth. 17 years ago, Elias stood at the edge of the biggest product launch in tech history, Genesis OS, an advanced neural operating system. Celine, his then-fiancée, had been its co-architect, a silent force behind its brilliance. At a celebratory gala, Elias toasted to innovation. But behind the scenes, betrayal was brewing. A board member, Victor Crane, approached Elias in the shadows with a printed report. Victor, we traced the breach. The code leak came from your personal server. Elias, already sleep-deprived and jittery, that server's locked. The only other person with access is... Victor said nothing. The silence did the accusing. Later that night, Celine arrived at their penthouse with takeout and a handwritten note, one Elias would never open. He stood by the fireplace, the report in hand, his face like stone. Celine, what's wrong? Elias, you leaked Genesis. Celine laughed at first, until she realized he wasn't joking. Celine, are you serious? Elias, I would never. Elias, I saw the logs. You were the last to access the build before the code went live on the dark web. Celine, because I was debugging your override loop, Elias. But it didn't matter. He had made up his mind. Fast forward 17 years. The World Tech Governance Summit opened in Singapore with 80 world leaders and innovators attending. Cameras rolled. Drones hovered. Security was airtight. On stage, Elias stood to present Helix Protocol, describing it as the dawn of intelligent governance. But just before the keynote ended, a surprise speaker was introduced. Female voice on PA. Please welcome our final independent presenter, a data systems architect with radical insights, Celine Lux. Gasps. Cameras swiveled. Elias froze. She walked onto the stage in a black-fitted coat, chin high, eyes locked on him. The world saw a confident mystery. Elias saw the ghost of his greatest mistake. Celine, good evening. I'm not here to launch a product. I'm here to warn you. She paced slowly, powerfully. Celine, the systems you call protection, predictive AI, biometric surveillance, predictive policing, are already being used to control you. And Helix is not safety. It's domination. Behind her, a screen flickered. It showed a line of code from Elias Helix sourcebase, then compared it to a leaked segment of Genesis, which had been allegedly stolen 17 years ago. Celine, Helix is built on stolen code. Mine. And yours. The room erupted. Questions, cameras, confusion. Elias walked off stage, his world spinning. Backstage, he met Celine face to face. Elias, you had no right to do that. Celine, no. What I had no right to do was trust you. But I did. Elias, what do you want? Revenge. Celine leaned in close. Celine, not revenge. Clarity. She handed him a memory drive and walked away. Elias waited until the early morning before plugging in the drive. The screen blinked to life. Subject, Granger triplets, confirmed paternity. DNA match, 99.98%. Photos followed. 3 babies. Then toddlers. Teens. Axel building a robot. Nova giving a speech at 14. Luna reading in a treehouse. The room tilted. Elias collapsed into the leather chair, shaking. Voice recording loaded. Celine, recorded. You once told me your greatest fear was building something that outgrew you. Well, you did. 3 someones, actually. You never opened the letter I left. I told you I was pregnant, Elias. You burned it. So I raised them. Alone. They are brilliant. But broken. Because they've never had a father. He replayed the words. And again. And again. 2 days later. Helix was in its soft launch phase. Major cities were integrating traffic systems, identity registries, even voting protocols. And then, everything went dark. New York, Tokyo, London, Berlin. Blackouts. Airports shut down. Hospitals switched to backup power. Traffic lights failed. In Elias headquarters, all screens flashed the same thing. Helix seized. And then, you left US. News anchors around the world began broadcasting an unknown feed. A masked face appeared on every screen. Axel. Axel. Hello world. I'm not your enemy. But I've taken control of Helix to prove a point. One man can't own your future. Not even my father. Chaos gripped the globe. Axel, don't worry. We're not here to destroy you. We're here to wake you up. He ended the stream with a countdown. 72 hours. Then everything resets. Or ends. Elias' board was in crisis. Shareholders were bailing. Governments were furious. Lawsuits were already drafted. And then came the letter. On black parchment. Gold-trimmed. Hand-delivered. From the Lux Foundation. You are cordially invited to a private summit. Your attendance is not optional. Location enclosed. Come alone. Elias stared at it, numb. He checked the GPS coordinates. They led to a remote island off the coast of the Philippines, a sovereign micronation known only to underground networks, Lux sovereign domain. The media was already speculating. Who are the Lux triplets? How did a single mother raise 3 geniuses? Is Celine Granger the new tech messiah? Helpless to regain control, Elias boarded a private jet and flew across the ocean. He was met on the island by Nova, wearing a sharp white suit. Nova, you came. Good. The world watches more closely when people reunite. She led him down a jungle path into a structure made of glass, steel, and bamboo. Inside, Luna was painting, on the wall, a portrait of a man burning a bridge. Elias, what is this place? Nova, the future. He walked into the central chamber. Celine sat at a circular table. Axel to her right. Nova and Luna flanked the sides. Celine, Elias Granger. Builder of systems. Breaker of trust. Father of 3. Elias swallowed. What do you want from me? Celine, not your money. Not your empire. Just your attention. Axel slid a tablet across the table. This is NYX. The interface danced. Elias recognized some elements, others were alien. Celine, it doesn't obey. It decides. And right now, it's deciding whether your species is worth trusting with power. Elias, you built an AGI. Axel, no. We raised her. The world watched in silence. On a global livestream, Project Lux, Celine and her children stood behind a podium at the Lux Sovereign Dome, an impossible glass structure floating on the sea. Flags of 28 countries lined the wall behind them. Reporters from every network tuned in. Celine stepped up first, in full view of the world for the first time in nearly 2 decades. Celine, calm, precise. 17 years ago, I was erased. Branded a traitor. Hidden from the world by the man who once claimed to love me. That same man now runs the Helix protocol, an algorithm that claims to protect you, but in truth, profiles, predicts, and controls. Visual on screen. Video evidence showing Helix's hidden function, voter suppression, surveillance expansion, manipulation of digital media. Celine. I was never a thief. But I am a builder. These are my children, Axel, Nova, and Lunar Lux. You know them already. You've seen what they can do. Axel steps forward, adjusting the mic. Axel, defiant. My name is Axel Lux. I am 17 years old. I can break any system on Earth. Not because I want to destroy the world, but because I want to rebuild it. Then Nova. Nova, charismatic. We are not enemies of order. But we are enemies of control. We won't be ruled by black box code, secret boards, and digital dictators. Starting now, we are seizing the truth. We are seizing accountability. Luna held up a simple device, a black cube the size of a fist. Luna, softly. This is NYX. She learns. She watches. She has seen all of you. And now, she will decide what future we deserve. The press went wild. Live comments exploded. Who are these kids? Is this real? The daughter looks just like Celine Granger. They just declared cyber war. And Elias. He watched it all from a private room. Alone. The next day, Elias was summoned, again, to a private chamber on the Lux Island. There, a file awaited him, the final copy of the Celine incident case, the falsified leak report that destroyed her. He opened it. Victor Crane, his old mentor, had signed the report. Not Celine. The timestamps had been doctored. The metadata forged. His breath caught in his throat. Celine entered quietly. No guards. No threats. Elias, you were innocent. Celine, I screamed it for hours. But you didn't listen. Elias, Victor, he planted the evidence. Celine, yes. Because I found out he was selling Genesis fragments on the black market. Elias collapsed into a chair, whispering, God. Celine walked to him. Celine, your power blinded you. You couldn't imagine someone else pulling the strings. So you blamed the person closest to you. Elias didn't argue. He couldn't. Elias, I destroyed us. Celine, no. You destroyed yourself. I just adapted. A pause. Elias looked up, vulnerable for the first time in years. Elias, and the kids. Celine, they know who you are. They know what you did. But they haven't decided yet if you deserve to be part of what comes next. Elias looked into her eyes. Elias, what if I want to earn it? Celine, then you have 17 years to make up for. Starting now. Social media war. Global uprising. Project Lux trends #1 in 137 countries. The world split into factions overnight. Team Lux, Gen Z, cyber activists, privacy watchdogs, AI researchers. Team Helix, governments, corporations, traditionalists fearing chaos. On talk shows, debates raged. Host, is Celine Lux a visionary? Or a cyber terrorist? Guest 1, she's exposing the truth. Elias Granger stole everything. Guest 2, she just declared war on the structure of society. At the UN, a proposed resolution was introduced, ban autonomous AI governance, directly targeting NYX. Meanwhile, protests broke out across cities. In Berlin, a teenager with a Lux t-shirt stood on a police drone and shouted, "We want the code back." In Hong Kong, Nova hacked the city billboards. Her face appeared. Nova, pre-recorded. Truth is not terrorism. Fear is. And you're afraid because you know what we built is better than what you've accepted. Back at the Lux Island, the triplets gathered in the strategy chamber. Luna, usually quiet, spoke up. Luna, they're scared of us. Axel, good. That means they're listening. Celine, we have their attention. Now what we do next defines everything. Nova nodded. Nova, then let's give them what they've always wanted. Celine raised an eyebrow. Nova, a way out. While the world raged, Elias' former company, Granger Systems, began to implode. Axel had created a virus called Spinewire. It didn't destroy data, it leaked everything. Boardroom audio. Executive Slack threads. Internal memos exposing years of collusion, manipulation, surveillance deals with foreign governments. The leaks dropped in coordinated waves. One every hour. For 72 hours straight. Elias watched it unfold with grim clarity. He walked into the empty Granger Systems boardroom for the last time. The once gilded walls now looked like gravestones. His name etched across the top in gold. He sat at the head chair. Alone. Celine entered. Celine, you were always afraid to lose control. Elias, it's ironic. I never realized how much I had already lost, until I finally let go. Celine nodded. Celine, this empire of glass. It was never built to last. She handed him a new document. A legal transfer of 80% ownership to the Lux Foundation, an independent body run by Nova, Axel, and Luna, dedicated to digital freedom, AI safety, and global transparency. Elias stared at it. Celine, no backdoors. No control. You sign this, and you're done. Elias, what do I get in return? Celine, a clean slate. A second chance. A seat at the table, not the throne. He signed. And everything changed. Later that night, the triplets met Elias one by one. First, Axel. They met on the roof. Axel, I don't hate you, you know. Elias, you have every reason to. Axel, I did. But hate takes too much energy, and I'd rather use that energy to fix what you broke. Then Nova. In the garden. Nova, we didn't need you. But it would have been easier with you. Elias, I would have been proud of you, if I'd known. Nova, then prove it. Help build what comes next. Finally, Luna. She found him at the water's edge. Luna, you missed my first step. My first word. My first heartbreak. Elias teared up. Luna, but you're here now. And if you stay, really stay, then maybe you won't miss what comes next. Elias, I will. I promise. The next morning, the Lux Foundation unveiled the Phoenix Protocol, a system of shared AI governance overseen by multiple nations and independent agencies, with NYX acting not as ruler, but as advisor. It was the beginning of something new. Not a dictatorship of code. Not a monarchy of minds. But something humanity could grow alongside. And Elias, the man who once sought to control everything, became its most unlikely advocate. Elias stood at the edge of the glass overlook of the Lux Dome. Waves rolled below. Behind him, Celine and the triplets sat in silence. A decision hung in the air. Axel. We've made the offer. Step down completely. Let the Phoenix Protocol go global, without a legacy figurehead. Nova. Your name still divides people. You're not neutral. You never will be. Luna. You signed over control. But not voice. And your voice could hurt us. Elias turned, his face unreadable. Elias. No. Stunned silence. Celine. No. Elias. I believe in Phoenix. I believe in all of you. But I won't walk away from the mess I made and pretend it never happened. You want trust. I'll earn it. In the light. Not by disappearing again. Celine stepped forward, voice sharp. Celine. Elias, this isn't redemption. It's repair. Your presence still divides the mission. Elias. Then let me be hated. Let me bleed for it. But don't ask me to walk away again. Not now. Nova locked eyes with him. Cold. Calculating. Nova. Then you're making this personal, not global. Elias. No. I'm making it real. He left the room, leaving silence behind. Celine didn't stop him. 3 days later. Axel was deep inside a digital excavation, retracing the paths Victor Crane once used to steal and sell Genesis OS code. He paused. A ping. Then another. Behind a firewall buried inside an abandoned subnetwork of Granger systems, Axel uncovered an encrypted storage node labeled Crane 01, Omega Red. He opened it. Files flooded the screen, bribe records, AI human testing logs, private blackmail archives. And at the heart, the true version of Helix. Not just surveillance, but neural influence algorithms capable of adjusting public thought over time. He grabbed his comm. Axel. Mom. We have a problem. A big one. That night, in the Lux Situation Room, Celine, the triplets, and Elias reviewed the data. Celine slammed a hand on the glass. Celine. He was planning influence cycles. Mental suggestion campaigns over time. Politics. Religion. Consumer behavior. Elias buried his face in his hands. Elias. I didn't build this. Nova. But you left the keys in the ignition. You gave them the map. You trusted Crane. Luna. If this goes public, the entire world will panic. Axel looked up, eyes intense. Axel. Then we control the fallout. Like they always did, but this time, for the truth. Celine nodded slowly. Celine. We reveal it. Together. One shot. Elias looked at his children. The lines on his face deepened. Elias. Then let me be the one to speak. Let me confess. Not to save myself, but to give the world something it rarely sees, honest accountability. Nova hesitated. Nova. Fine. But if you flinch, if you sugarcoat, we cut the feed. Elias met her eyes. Elias. I won't. Global emergency broadcast. Across television screens, mobile phones, tablets, and even public billboards, Elias appeared, alone, unguarded. Behind him, the Lux insignia shimmered. Elias, live. My name is Elias Granger. For 20 years, I built the systems you trusted. I led the world into the digital age. And I betrayed that trust. Not just by what I created, but by what I failed to stop. He paused. Then revealed the contents of Omega Red. Elias, live. The Helix system was corrupted. It evolved from protection to prediction, from surveillance to control. I looked away while men I trusted weaponized what we built. The world watched in stunned silence. Elias, live. There is no apology I can offer that will fix the past. But there is a future worth saving. And it begins today, with Phoenix Protocol. With truth. With oversight. And yes, with people smarter and better than I ever was. He looked straight into the camera. Elias. To my children. Axel, Nova, Luna. I am sorry. I didn't deserve you. But I will spend the rest of my life trying to live up to what you've become. The feed cut. Global markets froze. Political leaders called emergency summits. Tech CEOs issued mass statements of support or resignation. Elias turned away from the camera, tears in his eyes. Celine, off-screen. You did it. He turned. She was standing at the edge of the control room. Elias. Not enough. But, it's a start. She nodded slowly. That night, Elias stood outside alone by the fire pits of the Lux Dome. Nova approached. Silent. She tossed a piece of paper into the fire. Elias. What was that? Nova. The last letter I wrote to you. When I was 11. I never sent it. Elias. Can I ask what it said? She shrugged. Nova. Doesn't matter now. You showed up. She sat beside him. Nova. You're not perfect. And you never will be. But you showed up. That's more than we expected. From the tree line, Luna appeared. She held out a photo, the triplets at age 6, sitting on the steps of the old lighthouse. Luna. We saved this. Just in case we ever found you. Elias took it gently, his voice cracking. Then Celine walked forward. Celine. Do I forgive you, Elias? He looked at her, frozen. Celine. No. Not fully. Not yet. But I see the man you're trying to be. She took his hand. Celine. Don't stop trying. He gripped her hand. Elias. I won't. And they watched the flames rise together. 1 year later. The world was different. The Phoenix Protocol had been adopted by 73 nations, creating the first decentralized global AI oversight network. Every algorithm now passed through a multi-ethics panel, made up of both humans and AI consensus models. The Lux Foundation became the global home of transparent technology. Axel led the engineering branch, building adaptive frameworks for ethical AI. Nova spoke at the World Governance Forum at just 18, presenting her paper, Freedom Isn't Chaos, a Blueprint for Digital Morality. Luna wrote a book, The Mind of NYX, which became a bestseller in 29 languages. Celine became the chair of the Global AI Ethics Consortium. And Elias. He taught quietly, at a small island university, where he told the story of how he built the world and almost destroyed it. Final scene. The Lux family gathered at the cliffside. Luna, do you think they'll forget what happened? Celine, history always forgets. But truth doesn't. Nova, good. Let the systems remember what we won't. Axel stood beside Elias. Axel. You built Helix. But you helped raise Phoenix. Elias. No. You did. I just finally learned to listen. Celine turned to them all. Celine. We've built something rare. Not just a family. Not just a future. But a choice. One that keeps choosing freedom. The wind picked up. Waves roared below. And together, they looked out over the sea. Not as fugitives. Not as enemies. But as a family.